Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Ardent Wife. We're so glad to be with you, and thank you for listening to us. And so today we want to talk about a topic that for us, we are really passionate about, and that is how do we get our workouts in? And we also want to talk a little bit about why that's even important to us. So who wants to go first? Who wants to share, you guys, first about how do you get your workout in?
Well, I'll go first because I think mine is super simple and it's the same all the time. So I get up early and I try to get my workout done first thing in the morning. And that way I'm available the rest of the day. I always kind of feel like I can never kind of gauge how my evening's going to be because I feel like through the day, certain things just come up but nothing comes up at 5 a.m. Because the world is still asleep, right? And so I feel like it's safer where I can be kind of undisturbed and nothing is going to like prevent me from getting it done. And so early morning, I'm an early morning girl.
Yeah. Yeah. Dee, how about you?
I used to be an early morning girl, especially when the girls were younger. But I found myself, I now work for myself, so I can dictate my own schedule, which helps me a lot. But I also find that I was cutting my Bible time short because I was trying to get into the gym at a certain time so that I could get there before the girls woke up. And so now I just however long it takes me in the morning to be in the Word, that's how long it takes. But then as soon as my little one goes off to school, I go straight I usually do yoga in the morning. I just love doing that. And then my second time I work out is after my last client because she motivates me, honestly, to like get in because she's like really motivating and she goes really hard, which is great. But also I am in I don't even know how big my room is. It's like 15 by 20 foot space for 6 hours a day. I'm in my virtual studio all day long. I get less than 2,000 steps, honestly, a day. Okay. So I have to move my body intentionally twice just to move like people normally move from their day-to-day schedule. Like I pretty much don't leave home maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. And so I do work out twice a week and everyone's like on Instagram, like, you're working out again? I'm like, yeah, but you've probably walked to the store, like to the grocery store and you've gone to the mailbox or like all the things. I don't leave. I don't move from this little studio. And so those are 2 things I just have them on my schedule and I make them a priority. Like Tiffany said, my husband also, he actually is what got me into fitness. I hated working out up till about 8 years ago. It literally was a punishment for me. When I met my husband, he was a personal trainer and I used to like call him or I don't think we had text back then. It was a long time ago. And I'd be like, hey.
Beepers. Probably had a beeper.
Right.
I think we did have text, but it was like, A, B, B, B. Like, it was how to, like, it was hard to text. So I think actually a text, and he'd be working at the gym. So I would go to happy hour at like the little lounge right next to his gym and tell him to meet me there. Like I never worked out. Like I hated working out. And then when I got really depressed and started my fitness journey, like he was like my biggest cheerleader, like, come on, move your body. And he'd work out with me. And so that's how we actually bond still. We work out together twice a week, but he's always encouraged me. Like he'll text me and we text constantly throughout the day. Hey, did you work out today? And I'm like, no, I'm going to work out after Cindy, so he's a big accountability partner to get my workouts in. Cause I'm not predisposed to move my body. Like I have no problem sitting still.
Yeah, it's funny, Dee. I can relate to that. I mean, now, yes, this is my world, but it wasn't my world at one point. I lost over 50 pounds and I know you had a big weight loss too. And so I think for me right now, I mean, I have to like have this distinction because I teach about 9 to 10 classes a week. So you'd think, oh, you get your workouts in, right? And I do, because they're not my workouts though, right? When I'm teaching, teaching it. Yes, my body's moving. So I can account for that, which is great. Like sometimes my husband will be like, you're working out again? And I'm like, but it wasn't my workout, And so I feel lucky and blessed that kind of, it's in my life, right? I go to work, I teach classes, I have that as a part of my life. That is one way that I can know I can get my workout in.
Mhm.
But I do like it in my kind of life. Sundays are like my time. I go for a long run or a long walk or yoga, and it's a place where it's like my workout. And so, but I honestly can still find that hard. And because I teach group exercise, I actually really love group exercise. I love the power of having someone else. And, it's a saying that we kind of have in Revelation Wellness that is like, hey, give away what you need. Right. And so when I find myself teaching and I'm saying to people, you can do it, you got this, it actually really helps me. It's this place of helping me to say, no, I can do this. And so I'm kind of embarking. I couldn't run for, the past almost 6 to 8 months. I had a foot issue that I was working through. And so I've been cycling and getting my workout in, but I'm getting back to running. And so I'm in this place of like, no, I'm going to do this. I set a plan. I say it out loud. And I'm like, I actually write it down in my calendar because it's not so natural, right? Where I'm like, no, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, this is what I'm going to do. And it's been the last few weeks, it's newer, but it feels hard. It definitely feels hard, but I have to like really be intentional. And honestly, when I do it, I'm like, what would have I done for that 30 minutes? Maybe it's 30 to 40 minutes. I would have been doing something that maybe wasn't as important. And so for me, there's an intention around it. So yes, my life has this built-in time of working out because the classes that I teach, but I also have to be intentional to move my body in ways that I really enjoy as well, So I think that that's kind of how I have to be intentional,
You're absolutely right. And I remember when my hobby, fitness, became my career. And that was hard to because especially when you're group fitness, you do teach 2 to 3 classes. But honestly, people, if you notice us group fitness instructors, we do 2 to 3 reps of every exercise. We show you the first 2, and then we're cueing you on how to do the rest of them. And we're talking, we might do maybe 5 reps total. And we're always doing a lighter weight than what we would normally do on our own because we have to talk. So that's how we look like superstars. So just a little secret there. But yeah, and it had to be, and I had to have that balance of like, this is not, I also need to move my body too, just because in my work I do this on a regular basis. It doesn't include, that's not my workout time. And to be mindful, you should be mindful in your movement, in your body. And when we're group fitness, we're mindful of other people's bodies. We're not mindful of our actual bodies when we're actually teaching the classes, other than cueing, obviously. So I need that time to really just be connected to my body. It makes me aware of just not only like how my muscles feel, but it just in general, like I can tell if I'm getting sick. I just am so much more aware of my body because we really sit and we listen to our body when we take those times to work out. And it helps us to keep up with our kids. It helps us to, my goal honestly is to be as independent as long as possible. I don't want my husband to have to care for me when I'm older, like he's going to. He's signed up for that job, but I want to make it as long as possible before he has to do that. And I want to be able to enjoy life with him for as long as possible. So I feel like me moving now and investing that time, that personal time, not just the professional time, to move my body is an investment in my marriage and my future so that I can be independent and I can be present for my family and for all the things that I do.
And it's funny you say, well, I shouldn't say it's funny, but that triggered something for me because I thought that as you aged, like you just became immobile, like that was just the way it was supposed to be, because that's how I watched my grandparents. Like my grandmother, it's like she got down in her back. She didn't do anything. She didn't drive. She didn't go for a walk. I mean, she just sat in her recliner all day. Grandma was always in that chair. She was going to be in that chair. But now I see my in-laws who are into their 70s and they still ride their bikes. They go for walks at the park. They still drive, like they drive back and forth here. Like they are very mobile and active. And I'm like, Lord, just asking for the grace, so that when Chris and they get down on the floor and play with Reese, up and down off the floor and going inside her tent. And my grandmother would have never been able to do that. Like, I don't have those memories playing on the floor with my grandmother. And so it just opened my eyes that I think when you're younger, you're so focused on the aesthetics of it. Like, I want to look good. But then as you get older, you're thinking the long game. Like, are my knees, this good knees challenge, like, are my knees going to work when, when I'm 70, I want to play with my grandbabies, I want to, so it's not just about now, just thinking that long game,
And I think that's part of, like, as we talk about how do you get your workout in, right? A lot of it is a motivation, and that's okay. I want to look good. I think we all want to look good, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we want to feel good. And I'm going to come back to that. But I think, for me, a lot of it is I don't feel good now when I don't move my body, which is so, my husband will laugh because when we were first married, I did not work out. So he'll kind of joke and he'll be like, I remember when you used to have me pulled right up to the door to places. And now you're like, way down over there. And it's kind of, I'm a different person than what he married, for sure. I am a different person, But I also remember being diagnosed with mental health illness and different things. And working and moving my body really helped my emotional state, my ability to feel good. And we know science-wise, right, it produces those things. But if I don't move my body for a few days, I don't feel good emotionally. My body doesn't feel good physically. So it's also, yes, the long game. I just cared for my mom. She was really sick. She did not care for her body. And I'm like, she did the best she could. But I'm with you, Tiffany. I want to be able to at least not burden my family, right? Because I felt that. And I, believe me, I'm so grateful I got to take care of her. That felt like a get to be there for her, to walk with her, to go shopping for her and all that. But at the same time, I want to be on the floor with my grandkids I'd love to run a 5K with my grandkids, So there's this mix of this motivation of, it also helps me to feel really good though, too.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's why I got started. And I feel like that's why I kept coming. Well, Jesus is why I kept coming back, because I always had a bad connotation of exercise too. My parents used it as a form of punishment. So we didn't get whippings. We had plank holds or wall sits or run until my dad said stop, which could be 20 minutes, which is about a mile. And so I really was coming from a place of, why would I punish myself? And I used to think, like, why does he punish himself all the time and work out at the gym when I was dating him? I'm like, that's so weird. I just didn't get the concept of it, because I always thought it was like you're punishing yourself for weight. Like, if you're overweight, you're punishing yourself for eating poorly or being overweight. I never considered it as like movement so that you can feel better in your body. I always thought of it as punishing your body. And so the Lord had to really change my mindset on that alone for me to be where I am today, that I consistently move my body on most of my siblings are obese. Some are morbidly obese, and we all were punished in this way. And so for me, that was a whole mental hurdle. Mental wall that I had to overcome just to get to where I am today.
Can you share a little bit, like, what helped you? Because I think there's probably people listening to us that maybe it wasn't that same thing where they grew up and that was their punishment. But I think exercise as a punishment is a very common thought, right? It's a common, like, oh, I ate this much food, I better go work it off, right? That's a common thing. So could you share anything around that? Because I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So my weight loss journey is 100 pounds. And this is actually my third weight loss journey. But my first two, there wasn't social media for me to share it. And I shared from 100 pounds heavier to I share it every day today. So my conviction really came to get skinny. And every time I went on my weight loss, like, I remember with my second daughter, my dad coming up to me and saying, like, oh, you're going to lose those baby pounds, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, like, okay, got to get back together and start on the diet. And the first time I lost like 65 pounds, I pretty much starved myself. The second time, I tell people I ran my butt off. Literally, I did like every 5K with stroller strides that I possibly could sign up, because I had a community of women who moved their body, and we had babies, and that's what they did. They did 5Ks, and I just ran my butt off and didn't eat a lot of food. I was at the Y all the time. My girls were in the little big childcare, and I was taking all the Y classes. Like, my husband was a coach there. So didn't do it a healthy way. My last time I did it, I did a fast. I did a 30-day, which they call it nutritional cleanses, is one of those multi-level marketing companies that are out now. And you eat the shake, you drink the shake, you eat the chocolate, you do whatever, and you eat very little food for a month. But I also compared that with God's word. And so I was going to the word for when I needed overcoming temptation, overcoming the idea of punishment, all those things like that. And the Lord really convicted me not to lose weight to get skinny, but to honor my temple. And so when my conviction changed so that I can honor the one temple that God has given me until I get to eternity, it just changed how I did everything and approached everything. And also changed the timeline I had for getting skinny. It didn't make it a timeline. It just made it a every day doing something better than I did the day before to honor my temple. And so when the Lord transfigured me, which is the only Jesus can do, he's the only one who can change somebody's mindset from bad to good. It became a good thing. It became an opportunity to worship the Lord. And when I do work out, another reason why I want everybody out, so I can put on my worship music or put on my Christian rap and like get in the word and like really like just me and God, like talk. I'm praying those last 3 rather than like, please, Jesus, let me get through. And so it's really for me a time to devote and worship the Lord. And so it's changed the experience of working out too. It's something I can enjoy now. And so it was God. It was Jesus.
Yeah, amen. I think it's amazing, right? And it's kind of cool in a workout, right? You can begin to see, I love what you said, that shift. Like I could lift 5 pounds and now I can lift 10 pounds. And there is something you learn about yourself, right? We get to learn about ourselves. And I think it's pretty cool because I am such a different person than what I was. And I've seen God very clearly. Like I can do things. I remember when I ran my first 5K, right? Couldn't do it. And then I never thought I could do that. But I was able to, and prayer was definitely a piece of that, of just being able to think and know and have a space where I could be in touch with my body coming from a trauma background. I think being able to learn to be safe in my body and feel my body has been and still is. It still is a safe place for me where I can feel my foot touching the ground, where I can feel a stretch, where I can be in my body and be safe. It's been so healing. For my body. So to get a workout in, it doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like this is a place where I can pray. I'm alive. I feel alive and I feel like, God, you're with me and I can talk with you and I can cry or I can laugh. I can, when I'm by myself. Yeah.
I feel so much gratitude when I move my body. Like I'm always thanking God, like, thank you, Lord. And the more you say it, like you feel it. And so I'm always at the end of a workout in tears, just out of gratitude for whatever I've been praying for during the work, or just that I can move my body. And that's also something with yoga. I've picked up yoga in the last 4 years, but I've really been intense about it the last 6 months. And that is also a place that's been a healing for me. And I think it's the breathing and really being intentional in my body and really like starting with prayer, breathing God's word and really focusing on him. It's been so restored for my mental state. Like I used to use different forms of like, almost just like not punishing my body, but working intensely to get emotions out. And it's kind of transitioned into really just holding and stretching and just breathing, which is life, which is God, which has also been really helpful for my mental health.
It's so kind. Like I remember that same thing when I couldn't do yoga. I couldn't. And I know we're talking to a Christian audience here and I know yoga, that word might feel scary to you, or it might be something that you're like, oh, wait a minute. I was listening to these women and I thought they were Christian, right? But I remember when I couldn't be still. That's really what it is. I couldn't be still. And God has taught me how to be still. And I really enjoy it now. And it's powerful, powerful, you guys, of this place of breath and being able to be still. But I couldn't do that 10 years ago. I couldn't do that 5 years ago. I think it's in the last 5 years. And there's such a grace for that. I needed this intensity because of who I was. And now God is taking me into that season. So I'm so with you, Dee, on that. Yeah, Tiffany,
I think we should definitely talk about yoga in future episodes too, because
yeah. And you know, like Jen was just saying, we may have had people like, gotta click off that. You know, like they had me until they said yoga, unfollow,
canceled.
No, stop.
Yes, stop.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to come back and talk.
Yeah, I would love to share biblical, not supporting yoga, not saying that, but where I come from in that perspective.
Yeah.
So as we close out this kind of episode, I'd love to hear from each of us on what is this getting your workout in? What does this have to do? Like, we're ardent wives, right? We're passionate wives. And whether you're training to be a wife in your life or you are a wife, what does this have to do with marriage?
So for me, I think, you know, when you get into marriage, like I always heard, like I had people who were married who told me, you know, you cute now, but once you get married, you're going to gain all this weight. Oh, you just wait till you have a baby and you going to look like me and just all these things. And I'm like, is this what happens in marriage? Like, don't sign me up for that, you know? And so, you know, it's just like this mindset that once you get married, like you're just going to eat everything inside, you're going to gain weight and you're just not going to look like yourself anymore. Now, am I the same size I was when I married my husband? No, but I take care of my body. You know, yes, you know, I don't look the same. You know, you're older, your age, your body starts doing things that it didn't used to do. And you're like, okay, Jesus, I'm still here with you. Okay. It just reminds me, it gives you this hope, right? That one day we're going to have these glorified bodies and I'm not going to have to worry about all these things, these ailments. It just reminds me of how temporal this world is and how temporal my body is, that it's only temporary. You know, it's going to break down. It's supposed to. It was, you know, it will do that. But so for me, it's like, like you said, I want to look good, you know, and I don't think it's anything wrong with that. It's not like it's my idol, but it has been before. So I want to look good and I want to look good for my husband. Like I still want to be attractive to my husband. I still want to be the woman that he married, you know, recognizing that sometimes, you know, people have health issues and maybe it causes you to gain weight, not saying, you know, there's nothing wrong. There's space and grace for that. And our husbands love us not because of our bodies. Right. And so for me, it's just like, I want to look good. It helps me mentally, you know, when I can go work out. I think it translates physical into mental. It creates this space, you know, the strength I feel like it's to me, it's just like a metaphor, you know, when I know that when I'm lifting and I'm getting stronger, like my faith is getting stronger. I strengthen my faith in the Lord, my trust in him. And so, and I know sometimes it's like, if I can do 50 burpees, I can get through a hard conversation with my husband. Or if I can go on a mile run, like, listen, I can go apologize to my husband. To me, that is a lot more painful but it can be a lot more strenuous or physical than going to say, hey, humbling myself and saying that I'm sorry. But yeah, I just think, you know, it's important to, you know, still be attractive for our husbands. And I think it's important to have this space for me, you know, something that I enjoy, time for myself, so that then I can be better for them.
Yeah. And it's a spiritual discipline. I mean, the act is actually a spiritual discipline, worshiping through our bodies. And so I completely agree. For me, coming from a space where I was 100 pounds heavier, my husband actually has said, he's looked at pictures and been like, I don't even remember you looking like that. I mean, I tell people, and my children too, and I tell people because they love me for my character, not because of what I look like. So it doesn't matter if I'm 100 pounds heavier or I'm 100 pounds lighter, my husband's going to still love me. But personally, I feel better. I feel more confident. I feel like I'm in the body that God designed for me when I'm honoring it and nourishing it well and moving it. Whatever that looks like on the outside, that's just a reflection of what God's design is. But as long as I'm taking care of myself, and then also that spiritual discipline I'm showing to my children, and that physical discipline I'm also showing to my children, that their body is worthy to be stewarded. And then let's talk about physical, like in intimacy. There's, as you age, there's muscles that are involved, right? And there's real atrophy in all types of areas. So a strong pelvic floor not only helps you have better orgasms, but it also helps you stand up straight. So like I need to work on both so that, you know, I won't get knocked down if the wind blows. And I also can have a really great orgasm because I mean, that's kind of important too in intimacy. And so that's an important reason for me to work out, is for my physical body, like we were saying, so that we can live long lives with our husband, but also have great intimate lives with our husbands as well.
I love that you said that, man. Yoga, orgasms. Come on, y'all. When you're with us, it's going to be real. It's going to be real. Like this is real stuff, you guys, real stuff. And so, and, you know, they do say like as a woman, and again, this has nothing to do with size or being a certain way, but when we feel confident about our bodies, our intimacy, our satisfaction with our mate, not just us, our husbands are more satisfied when we as women feel confident. And I think that moving our bodies and really it's the act of taking care of them, is that really it's what helps me to feel confident. When I'm not eating well, when I'm not moving my body, I don't feel good about myself, not because I'm looking for an outcome or it's a certain size, but when I'm doing that, I love that, the act of a spiritual discipline. And when I'm in that space, I feel better about myself. I'm okay with the lights being on. I'm okay with being uncovered and unashamed, right? And my husband, I'm not the same. I definitely am lighter than I was when we were married. And sometimes he's like, I don't lose too much more weight. I want those hips. I like, you know what I mean? So definitely, but it is an act of me feeling good about, like, I feel good about my body and I can be unashamed.
Yeah.
Okay with where I'm at. So this motive to working out it's so much greater. And I feel like we've really unpacked that in a great way. It's so encouraging. You guys are so encouraging.
Yeah.
So you guys, I pray that this motivates you for your body to work out, that this will help you to think about a different way of working out. And until next time, keep crying, keep laughing, and keep growing closer to Jesus.